Welcome to the Old Hobo channel. I'm the Old Hobo. Our boat is a 1971 Hobo houseboat, and it is the namesake of the channel. This spring we cruised over 500 miles on the St. Johns River in Florida. My wife and I spent 21 days on the water, and I'll be releasing our trip in segments. This is part 1 and covers our first 2 days. Our goal was to traverse the entire length of the St. Johns, the navigable length, with as many side trips on the creeks and springs off the main river as possible. Please subscribe for the entire series and for other Old Hobo content. Subscribing will really help. I encourage you to consider visiting the St. Johns River, whether by boat or by land. The Erie Hobo is in Sanford. This is the Sanford Municipal Marina riverboat. Folks lining up for that. It's not fully functional. They still have some storm damage from a few years ago. This is the Municipal Marina. It is free to launch. We're going to fire up the boat, take it around the marina, and over there's a public day dock. We'll park there. My wife can tend to the boat and stow things away. I'll be taking the truck and trailer to a storage site 5 miles away. The downtown Sanford Marina is publicly owned. It's very accessible and it's free to launch, and it's really got a beautiful waterfront. We launched from the marina. We had to drive around the outside of the marina. It's really, I think they call it Marina Island, and to get to the western side where the day docks were. Also, you could see there the damaged docks, not repaired yet since Hurricane Ian in September of 2022. From the day dock, I was able to go to our storage site and store the boat and trailer and truck and trailer and come back. We're at the northwest corner of Lake Monroe, and we'll be entering the St. Johns again here. I'm not sure, I'm not sure what that is. Fish bird, it's not an eagle, but yeah. So back there, those buildings are Sanford, and the St. Johns River going upstream is there, and it gets very narrow and very shallow. There are a few more lakes, and it gets into the marshland. And we saw an airboat launching today. It'd be headed that way. Under the right conditions, it would be navigable for the hobo right here. So the first mate here, she's got her captain's license. She's piloting. Our first bridge. We entered the St. Johns River proper up at the northwest corner of Lake Monroe, and we immediately went under the I-4 bridge and then the Highway 17 bridge, and right after that with the railway bridge, we could just barely fit under. At the time we didn't know too much about calling to have it lifted, but we did that on the way back. Entering the river itself, it's a few hundred yards wide, a couple hundred wide, different places, good depth. It's really, really beautiful. We're about 8 miles out of Sanford, the Butcher's Bend, behind an island. Somebody's fishing over there. We're having a little lunch. Very quiet. It can be deep, 12, 14 feet out here. Supposedly up there, there's some submerged stumps. We're just anchored in a few feet of water here. At times we drift into 3 feet of water, then 8 feet of water. Yeah, it's really nice. This was our nighttime lullaby. This is Friday around noon. This is where we anchored last night. These are actually superimposed 3 different periods of anchoring. We had initially anchored last night and I said, we're going to move it. And then we did it again. And then one more time I thought, we want to get out of some of the shallower water. And so we're drifting back and forth. We had some really strong wind. We were going 15, gusting 20 probably. And we're anchored out this way and out that way. But we're At Emanuels Bend, we've got homes and houses here. Homes and houses here. That's an actual island. I think that's Guava Island, if I remember correctly. We've got a very large houseboat over there. They're dug in deep and they're actually grounded ashore there. We got all the critters we watch here, fish jumping, and we see herons catching fish. And way over here, we did see about a 6-foot crocodile when we were coming in last night. We're getting set now. The rain has stopped. We got our canvas on. We got up at 4 a.m. You can just see that there to put the canvas on because it started to pour like crazy. We didn't leave until noon because of the rain, and then we stopped immediately almost at Blue Springs State Park, and it made for a short day, only 7 miles today. For the sake of clarity, here's another map, a fishing map actually. It shows Emanuels Bend where we left, and then up to Blue Springs State Park, the upper right, and then the Stark Landing Loop where we anchored the night of day 2. So here's our anchorage for the night of day 1, and then here's the Stark Landing Loop where we anchored for day 2, and the top right is Blue Springs State Park. There was our anchorage. The anchors had really set well on the mud, and we're exiting. We're on the south side of the Guava Island, Emanuels Bend. There's a houseboat. It's well grounded. On the into shore on the island. We're going to go behind it and head up the river towards Blue Spring. There's the houseboat on the corner. That's the river there. We went there and we turned right and headed north. There's a rope swing. We met Floridians that said no, we'd never swim in there, the alligators. We weren't trained to see the alligators at this point, but we did learn to later. They like to sun themselves. There are a lot of birds. We did not have the proper camera equipment to capture those. There's so much to see. Occasionally you'd come across some side canals. They were dug for commercial purposes. There were different creeks. We didn't have anything big enough to go on yet. Little to no traffic. This is late March. There was more traffic in more populated areas to the north, but little at this point. There's one of the side canals. Probably went to some plantation or somebody's commercial interest. We're getting close to the manatee, and we have to watch for manatee zones, and there are speed restrictions and so on to protect them. Marker 73. We're approaching Blue Springs Park, and there is, I think that's a boat that they have a rental at the dock there at Blue Springs Park, and we're going to see if we can dock at that dock and visit the park. Well, we didn't see boats before this. We saw this and tons of kayaks at this point. This was kind of fun. I had not beached the boat before. I had always been concerned about damage or whatever, but I was assured by the park on the phone. There's a stump there. Get out and look down. Get out and look down. That this was going to be okay.
No, but that stump is to our right here. Or a rock or something, or beach. There's nothing like here. It just looks like sand.
This is sand.
If you could turn it more to the right. Okay. Okay.
Of course, I had the motor raised as well, and everything went very well, very nicely. We were the only ones visiting by boat. There were a lot of people who rented kayaks at the kayak rental. Yeah, we had birds there of various types to greet us, and we never learned all the bird names. There are limpkins, and there are different ones. There are vultures, and the osprey I think we learned to recognize. We did see eagles as well. We paid. You see our little boat in the distance there. I thought this was kind of neat here. Litter picker station. There were some people doing that. There's the, you can get snacks, you can get gifts. There's a beautiful boardwalk. It runs the length of the spring. And there we are. It's very, very lush. And for us coming from Ontario, it was really nice. The boardwalk, that's the spring pool down that way. There are lots of outlook stations where you can look. You see a lot of fish. That's the primary thing you see. Some of the birds also. Seeing everything at the spring was amazing. The clear water, we saw tons and tons of fish we could identify, but the manatees had left previous week or two, and they were elsewhere in rivers and creeks. We did see a few, but it was really something to be on land and see this, and there's a lot of history with this spot here. The Thursby House had been a thriving business. There were piers and things out for riverboat landing. And we learned about shell mounds, the middens, and I encourage you to read up about that. It's really quite amazing. Well, back to the boat, and we were just going to go south a little bit and go anchor for the night. Okay. We're just south of Blue Spring State Park, and we're going into this behind this one island on the west side. So we're just a mile or less south of Blue State Park. We just spent the day at the park, and we're going to anchor. We missed our lunch, so we'll have lunch / supper and have a nice night. 14 feet of water right here. 15. Feet. Yep, still 10 feet. 9.5 feet. Still 8 feet. Down just ahead to the left, there's some 5-foot water in the shallows. The winds are supposed to be from the south, so we'll be parking close to the anchoring somewhere close to the left side here. You can see what else there is behind here. Just go a little ways. Over there. Over 4.5. 4. Okay, 4 feet. Level bottom. Who knows what's near shore? Okay. Get a little closer. We'll put the anchor and we'll back up to set it. And then we'll give it some slack and we'll back up to put the rear anchor out. Okay, 5 feet. Steady right here. So, do you see anything in the water?
Nope, I don't see anything there.
Okay,
no logs.
Okay, I'm arresting our approach. 5 feet of water. Okay, we're neutral. Here is our anchorage. This is Friday night. This, I believe, is Goat Island, and this is the passage behind the river, behind the island. Goes out and meets the main river, what is currently the main river. And our back end is anchored. The back end's 3 feet of water, have an anchor out. Swinging on that, and this one's not taking much slack, but we have one in. It was close to shore. I've got to adjust the anchor, the rope lengths, pull us in a bit more. But yeah, this is it. It's very nice and quiet, and we're going to have our supper and spend the night here. Model of boat of hobo is either the Fisherman or the Sportsman. I've seen both, and actually I think on the paperwork for this it says Fisherman. I'm just pointing up here that roof that I added. It's normally an open back, and then canvas I made, and screens and vinyl. We've got some curtains. But right now it's just nice to have the breezy curtains on. We didn't put the curtains up last night, and then the bugs got us, so we went inside. And then 4 a.m. it started to rain, so 4 a.m. we're putting up the side curtains. So we're going to leave them up for now because the bugs will come and attack at dusk. And we've got enough breeze here, it's good. So we can sit here and, well, you see we're going to eat, but we can play Remoli or something and plan our next day. Okay, here we are just sitting quietly out with nature. You see the rain in the background. See the rain out here. I think, you know, we're so far from civilization. So far from civilization. Oh boy, what's on here? Yeah, all sorts of movies. We've got in the distance, you can see a tower lighting up. This is just a fringe of wilderness at this point of the river. And we've got aircraft going over for Orlando Sanford Airport. Farther up the river in different areas, there are a lot of wilderness preserves, so we'll get up there in the next day or two. We eat simply but well, and after supper we play a game of Scrabble, or in this case Rummikub. We were on that for this trip. So that's the end of the day 2. There are 19 more days of content plus some extras and different shorts about the trip. Also other content on the channel about projects and so on. I encourage you to subscribe, please, and like this, and comment, ask questions. I'd really appreciate it. So enjoy the Old Hobo channel.